Yes, people, welcome back to another episode. This is actually our second season, first episode.
Yeah, season 2.
So today on the talks, Barbershop talks, we're going to have Dr. Dilan, myself, the Certified Barber, and of course, Jo-ells. Jo-ell even.
Bro, thank you for coming on.
No problem. So thanks for having me.
So how long did it take you to become a dentist and what was involved?
So dental school is a 5-year process. So do your schooling, college, A-levels, all that kind of stuff, and then apply for dental school. 5 years, I was up in Liverpool. Great city.
Yeah,
You've been having
sick.
Yeah, wicked night out and everything, just live. But yeah, 5 years out there, involved learning all the theory and all that kind of stuff behind it, starting to see patients, and then once you finish those 5 years, God willing, passing the exams and all that, then you're out into the open world and set free on patients. But it seems like a lifetime ago, although when I finished 2019, it's been 5 years since then. But yeah, it's come around quickly. But
it's mad, isn't it? Because I remember back when you was at uni.
Yeah.
And you was going through it all. When you was at uni doing your theory work, did you say that you have to kind of tag along with other dentists to get the experience in dealing with people?
Exactly. So when we started going on to clinics, I think in end of first or start of second year, we'd be buddy up with like a 4th or 5th year and just like observing nursing for them, just so you can kind of get yourself a bit more familiar with how they're talking to patients, what they're doing with them, all that kind of stuff as well.
How was that experience itself? Obviously, people you've not met before into the field that you actually want to get into.
I think it's fine because ultimately they're in the same position back when they were the similar sort of level. So I think for them, I remember we had it as well when we were in 4th, 5th years. We had first, second years coming in, and it's one of those where it's quite small. Dental school, there was only about 60, 70 people per year. So like when you're walking around the place, everyone kind of knows of everyone. Yeah. So when you're out there and with these people, with these other dentists on the clinics, everyone's willing to help. There was no sort of, piss off sort of thing, do your own thing on the side. It's more, this is how we do things, this is why. Because you all ultimately want to get to that same level, together at your own pace as well. So, no, it was a good experience. It was a good eye-opener just to start off with when you're starting to see patients and just familiarise yourself with non-theory based stuff. Because theory is one thing, actually doing it, in real life on patients is completely different. You can read as many books and watch as many videos as you want, but actually physically doing it yourself is a different ballgame. So yeah, that was it was a good introduction to it. And then as we went through the years, slowly we just started seeing patients, started doing simple treatments first, and then as we advanced through the years, we started doing more advanced stuff like your root canals, your crowns, and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, no, it was a as I said, it seems like a lifetime ago, but it was a valuable experience, valuable sort of learning curve going forwards, and here we are now.
That's
but yeah, I remember when I first came to you in Syston at Foss, that was like second year, and you really had like a little kind of side room in there. That's when I first met you. I think it must have been 2016, 17, something like that. You had your hot tub.
The hot tub company.
Yeah.
That shows how long ago it was.
And then Joe came after that.
Yeah.
Kerr, I think, did a little bit there.
Yeah.
Then he moved here.
That's crazy.
So for both of us, the last 5 years or so, probably longer, 5-10 years, been a bit of a mad kind of...
It's a mad journey when you actually think about it like that. Because that feels like I say, it feels like a lifetime ago.
Yeah.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah, but it's good. It's good.
Give me something that irritates you in the industry, bro.
How long have we got? I mean,
there's a big list, yeah?
There's a few things, not always, but I'd say to think off the top of my head, I mean, what I've come to appreciate over the last 4-5 years of working, I've been working in Leicester since I finished in Liverpool. I came down to Leicester again, that's where I'm from. So the last 4 or 5 years, what I've come to realise is dentists, certain dentists, not everyone, around the area, it should be a profession where we're all trying to kind of gas each other up a little bit and just, it's business ultimately, so there's going to be competition. But I think some like to sort of shit on others a little bit.
Yeah,
the more older school dentists and things like that. I mean, I've worked under one. Obviously not going to say any names, but you see a difference from that sort of environment to when you go to another environment where we don't really care about all that kind of stuff. You know, it's not, you come to work Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, whatever, for a purpose, just like everyone else works. We all go into work for work, right? Not to piss on everyone else and shit on everyone else. But I think some can get carried away with that aspect of things. I think it becomes a little bit more of a battlefield out there. And I think that's not the way we should, as a profession, we should be. I think everyone should be sort of willing to help, working with each other, and ultimately growing each other for the ultimate goal, which is patient care and patient care essentially. So that's one thing that irritates me. Another thing, we see it a good 3, 4, 5 times a day. When we get patients in, before we even said our names, we are told to our faces, we hate dentists, we hate you guys.
Yeah,
and it's
that's
just
horrible.
like,
What?
Yeah, I mean, I understand, you know, patients come in, they're nervous, they're anxious. More the older generation who back in the day, you know, you heard of maybe butcher dentists and things like that, where when they were young, teeth were being ripped out without any sort of anesthetic. It would literally just be proper dentists, like knees on chest, ripping teeth out and all that kind of stuff. So I get it, I understand it. But for us, I've not even said my name yet, bro. It's just like, hi then. So not my established patients who I've been seeing for a good few years now. They're all calm, they're all lovely people. But the newer patients, it irritates me. I understand it. I don't really say anything about it. But ultimately, it's just we come in to do a job, to do our best for patients. But to be said, I hate dentists. Straight up. It's just, okay, at least introduce yourself first. At least let me introduce myself first, then tell me how much you hate me. Rather than just
There's a way of going, like saying that, you know.
Of course. No one likes coming to the dentist. It's one of those things. No one likes to come and, you know, be told they need this, whatever treatment they need doing. But we're human, we're people at the end of the day. We're not just robots, just living in the surgery and just wake up in the morning and crack on with our day. We have, you know, other things to go about doing things. So
I bet that makes you feel like shit as well, because it's like, okay, I've just said I hate dentists, but like, yo, what have I done? Like you said, I've not even said my name.
Yeah, I've not even met you before.
Yeah.
So it's, I think our profession as a whole, and I think we might come onto this a little bit later, we're kind of painted with a brush, whereby we're a certain type of people, we're looking for a certain type of thing, and that's it. No matter who you are, where you've come from, it's the sort of mentality that I think the British public have on us. And it's not just, you know, localized to Leicestershire or, you know, the areas I work in. It's countrywide basically, but it's something that I think has to change going forwards for everyone's benefit, for our benefit as well, to feel sane in doing what we're doing, feel happy in doing what we're doing, respected, appreciated, all that kind of stuff, but also for patients as well. I mean, for me, as I said, they say it, I don't care, I carry on as normal, I don't treat that other person any different, but I can imagine a whole load of other dentists will see that, hear that, and then subconsciously or consciously they'll start treating the patient in a sort of different light, which doesn't help the patient ultimately either. So, you know, for the sake of a little bit of politeness, coming in, hi, how are you, blah, 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 then tell me how much you hate me afterwards. I'd rather that than tell me straight up from the start.
At least I've done my job now.
Exactly. I understand everyone hates us, but to be said it, and I swear to you, at least 4 or 5 times a day, hear it.
That's horrible, isn't it?
I'm shocked. I've literally.
But now he said it, I know what he's saying, because I can imagine people coming straight in like, I hate dentists.
Yeah.
We need to help you, bro.
Yeah. I bet it's people who are quite stuck up as well. Yeah.
You can tell the vibe, because even after that, when you're talking to them, there's a chip on their shoulder. You know, it's this is what I need doing. This is what I want you to do for me. Like, come on, I haven't even looked in there yet. Like, what makes you more sort of qualified to tell me?
You don't know shit.
Have you gone to 5 years and you know, dentistry at dental school, learnt about it? No, you haven't. So, with respect, don't tell me what you need to have done. But again, it's one of those things where it's minor. A lot of us hear it. Most of us hear it. We get on with our jobs. So I can understand it. I can see why certain people might think that way, but it's one of those things where, as I said, sometimes it gets under your skin a little bit, because you might finish with a patient who's been absolutely lovely from the start. Like when I see you, bro, like, you know, you come in, we have a good time, even if it's 10 minutes or if it's half an hour, or even if it's an hour, But then the very next patient, you leave, and we're buzzing, we're buzzing. We've got a little bit of a lift. Very next patient for you to then hear, oh, I hate dentists, or they say something. It's just like, okay, then that kind of mood just kind of gets killed a little bit more. Yeah, exactly. So it's very up and down. It can be very up and down, the environment we work in, but it is what it is. I guess that's part of the job, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah.
No, I hear it. You know what, speaking about it though, when I always come to you, my mouth will be open with something. And then I'll keep trying to talk to him. And I'm like, I need to sit still a bit, you know, because I need to stop talking, but you know, because like we get along so well. Now, I heard.
And to be honest, even when I've got stuff in, or even if I'm in his mouth working, whatever, I'm trying to like ask him stuff, but it's just like, oh, wait, hold on, fuck, I can't ask him. He can't reply back to me. Exactly. But those types of patients is great because at least it's a two-way working kind of relationship rather than just me and then another person on the end who's just, like I said, got a chip on their shoulder for
no
reason.
It's nice because you can hold that energy to your next client as well.
100%.
Like when you've got that negativity in that first client, like, I hate dentists, and the next one comes in and he's probably depressed or something to do with his teeth, and you're just like, my last client was shit, and it's just like, you know what, okay, you know what I mean?
Yeah, the mood can translate. The mood can carry on going forward. It's one of those up and down days, but I think once you've kind of got that experience, you learn how to sort of just put it behind you, crack on as normal with the next one. I think that's the best way to go about doing things. But yeah,
I've got a juicy question.
Go on.
What do you think about people going abroad for the teeth?
Okay, people going abroad for their teeth, and this is a question which we hear a lot. I hear a lot as well from other patients. I don't mind it if they've done their research, if they know exactly what they're getting themselves in for. And we've all seen it on the news. We've all seen, I think there might have been a documentary, I think that was released last year on turkey teeth. Turkeys are the most common place where people would go for their teeth. It's considerably cheaper, yes. So with that, what I'd say is people go to Turkey to get their veneers, what they think of veneers, which is, for those who don't know, it's like a material we put on top of your natural teeth to just enhance them, make them look a little bit better, When we do it here, we are taking away a very, very minimal amount of tooth to make space for that to go on. It's like a false nail that goes over the top. In Turkey, a lot of the clinics out in Turkey, they don't do that. They actually drill the entire tooth down to a tiny little stump.
You've seen videos of that.
I think Katie Price put one on, a couple of years ago. Little tiny stumps, and then they put full crowns on top. So imagine your tooth's like that, and the entire crown goes over the top of it like that. Problem with that is, the more tooth we drill away, the more likely the nerves within that tooth, your natural structure, is going to die off. You're going to start getting pains. Then you're going to need root canals or extractions, and then you're back to square one. Well, worse than square one. You're going to be in a position where we're telling you we're in a bit of shit here. We need to either take your teeth out and have implants, or take the crown off, do a root canal, then get a new crown on. The problem comes is, that's just fine. If you've consented to that and you know what you're getting yourself into, go ahead and do it. The problem comes for us as UK dentists when they go abroad and have this work done. They then start getting pains. Then who they're going to go to? They're not going to fly out to Turkey again to get that work remedy. They're going to come to us and kind of expect us to do something about it, which is sticky waters as well, because I'm sure there is a guideline here somewhere with us UK dentists where if patients have gone abroad to have their work done, we shouldn't really be touching it unless they're in pain.
Right.
So I think my opinion on it is go for it if you know what you're getting yourself into. However, there is a lot of false advertising out there. It's similar like, Smile Direct Club, as opposed to Invisalign to get your teeth straightened. Smile Direct Club, there's a company that launched their kind of version of clear aligners. You saw the ads on TV and all that kind of stuff. Probably half the price of what we charge for the Invisalign. But it's essentially, they send you out a kit to do your impressions yourself. Yeah. There's no one really assessing you. You might get a little bit more of a better result, or you might get even a worse result than what your teeth are currently. But how can you judge what that patient's bite's like, for example, their function, if they're going to get any kind of post-pain with their jaws and all that kind of stuff? You can't judge that. Smile Direct now, incidentally, have gone bust. They've actually become bankrupt, and they've left their patients who have started Smile Direct Club treatment in the waters. They can't get their money back. They can't continue with their treatment and finish it off. So now we're kind of opening up to those kind of patients, to inviting them to our clinic just to see if we can help them with Invisalign and basically get them to where we need to get. So it's not abroad, it's in the UK, but the same kind of principle applies. Do your research first before you go ahead and do something. And I know, and again, we'll touch on this later on, but I know treatments can be perceived as expensive here, but there's a reason, I think, as to why it's expensive here compared to going Turkey and getting it done for more than half the price. I think you're opening up a can of worms there with going abroad to have treatment done, because otherwise, as I said, you're going to be left in muddy waters where you're going to get pains afterwards. You're going to be left with potentially missing teeth and teeth that needs to come out. So it's a sticky one. Not all Turkish clinics do that. Coincidentally enough and ironically enough, the kind of one of the godfathers of veneer work actually comes from Turkey, in terms of doing things in the best way possible, comes from Turkey. So you think there's a bit more of a level there, but it's one of these things, it's dental tourism, I think, which is what it's kind of advertised out. You pay for it, you get your flights, you get your hotel, you get your aftercare, you get your treatment, all that kind of stuff, flights back home. It's one of those where it appeals. I can see why it appeals to patients. However, it's not in their best interest, in my opinion.
Like you say as well, it's like, I couldn't imagine anything worse than going to Turkey or anywhere for cheaper dental care, landing back here and a week later being in pain.
Yeah. I had that last year. Patient came.
It's the worst pain to have.
Yeah. Yeah, especially front teeth as well.
Yeah.
Because most people, every tooth's important, but for the lay patient, their front teeth they're the ones, they're the money makers, right? They're the ones that you're smiling with, all that kind of stuff. I had one last year who asked me before she went, what about veneers, or what about making my teeth look better? Told her what I would normally say. Didn't know, but she went to Turkey, came back, and I saw her name. She was booked in for a pain appointment, came back, lovely looking teeth, but she had pain with like 2 or 3 of them, took x-rays, infection. What are you going to do?
Was that due to obviously them drilling them down as well?
Drilling them down to start, because the smaller the tooth, the closer the nerve is to the center of it. So these teeth are being drilled down so heavily to literally pegs, tiny little pegs, almost look like shark teeth, when you see them. So it's one of them where you can do that, but then be prepared for, at some point in your lifetime, maybe not a week after, even if it's 5 years down the line, be prepared for some sort of comeback on them. And when we do it here, we don't have a view in our mind where, okay, it will last about 10 years, and then we can replace it. No, when we do work, well, certainly I do, when I do my work here, in an ideal world, I want it to last as long as possible. I don't really put like an arbitrary figure on there, but we kind of do things in the best way possible to give that treatment the best chance of success. Nothing's going to last forever. Our natural teeth don't last forever, so we can't put any sort of lifetime guarantee on any treatment. So, it's one of those where that's how we do it here. That's how they do it there. If you're going there, then set yourself up for some sort of comeback in the future.
What's your advice for good dental hygiene?
Good dental hygiene. So, brushing twice a day, morning, night time. A key one that people don't often realise or have heard before is after you've brushed, spit, don't rinse out. So a lot of my patients especially, they'll brush their teeth and either rinse out with water after or rinse out with mouthwash after.
I do that.
Yeah, see, exactly. So
I wonder why.
So it's one of those things where if you're doing that, all of that fluoride, all that good stuff from the toothpaste that you just put around your teeth, if you're going to be rinsing out with mouthwash or water or whatever after, you're essentially just negating that, negating what you've just done with the toothpaste there. You might as well have brushed your teeth for half a minute, basically. You're not going to get as much concentration of that good minerals around your teeth if you're rinsing straight after. So that's a key one I hear all the time when I say it to patients. Oh, never heard that before. It's probably one of the most important ones, just to ensure that whatever you're doing with your brushing is the maximum kind of efficient way of doing things. So if you're mouthwashing after, you're basically just diluting that kind of concentration and you're not making it as efficient, essentially. So that's one. Cleaning in between your teeth, flossing, using the little TP brushes, those sort of things. I think there's something on the market last 2-3 years or so. It's like a water flosser. I don't know if you guys have got one of them. Seen
You
it?
can attach it to your electric toothbrush.
Exactly, yeah. So it's like a jet wash. Literally, it's like a jet wash in between your teeth, and that's a really, really effective way of making sure there's no food, no kind of plaque or anything like that, bacteria just being left in between your teeth. Because the most common areas that I personally see decay, dental decay, is in between your teeth, because obviously you can't clean it. Almost liken a tooth to like a car. When you're washing your car, you're not just going to wash the top and the sides, you're going to wash every single surface that you can possibly see. So that's the same kind of concept you want to take with your teeth. You want to make sure that every single surface of that is being cleaned away. And then your normal diet advice, like, making sure you're not overloading your mouth with sugars, acids. Fruits is a big one as well. If somebody is, got a diet high in fruit, great for the rest of the body, bad for your teeth because they have a lot of natural acids in them, which can cause erosion. You can strip down the enamel of your tooth, and that can really just start causing sensitivities and things like that in the future. So, yeah.
If we use a can of Coke an example for that,
Yeah.
would it be more dangerous then to, if I was to have a can of Coke, drink it in one go, and then have a can of Coke and then sip it throughout the day, would it be worse for me to sip it throughout the day?
100%, yeah.
Because I suppose I'm constantly
Bathing your teeth in that
bathing my
Coke.
teeth in sugar, innit?
Yeah. 100% that. So with fizzy drinks, another thing we say is if you can, drink through a straw as well, rather than swigging it back and allowing it to hit every bit of your mouth. With a straw, you're reducing that and it's just going straight down and going through. But what you said, sipping it in one go is a lot better than sipping it throughout the day, because ultimately, if you have a meal, for example, I don't know, let's call it lunch, yeah? You have your lunch. Any type of food or drink that you're having is going to contain some sort of sugar, is going to contain some sort of acids. After you've eaten, what your mouth is going to do, your saliva, is basically there to then start washing things off and start kind of lowering the acidity inside the mouth. If you're then going to eat maybe an hour later, you're not allowing your mouth to sort of recover from that previous lunchtime, and your mouth's going to be in a constant state of either sugars or acids. So we normally say 4 sugar attacks a day. That's what the guidelines kind of suggest. 4 sugar attacks a day, which if you kind of see it as every time you eat or drink is a sugar attack, you got your breakfast, lunch, maybe dinner, a free hit somewhere else, is a lot better than breakfast. Then maybe a couple of hours later, have a biscuit, then have your lunch, then have another pack of crisps or whatever, then dinner, then a dessert at night time, and then go see that's what 6-7 sugar attacks there. So your mouth isn't able to, or your saliva is not able to wash that food plaque, sugars, acids away, but also your mouth is being kept in a constant state of acid and sugars, which can lead to decay, lead to erosion, and lead to problems ultimately as well.
Handy stuff.
I'm just going to eat 3 times a day.
Yeah, 3 times a day. This guy's always got a biscuit in his mouth.
There you go. But yeah, I mean, even things like drinking some water, or rinsing with water, or something like that afterwards. Little things like that can help. Chewing sugar-free chewing gum as well, just because it stimulates a bit more of that saliva and it just allows things just to be washed away a little bit more. So you can have a few little tips and tricks to help things as well. But yeah.
How do you keep up to date with like the latest stuff in dentistry as well? Because I'd imagine there's a lot you have to constantly keep on top of with new treatments coming out.
Absolutely, yeah. There's a lot out there, and I think social media has helped a lot.
Yeah.
Social media it's like a double-edged sword. It could be really shit for us, but it could also be really, really beneficial and good. I think it's just the way you use socials. And I think for me personally, I've done a lot of courses in my relatively short kind of career so far. 4 years, I've done quite a lot of courses, advanced courses. So courses is a big thing. Learning from senior dentists, senior colleagues, kind of like almost like a mentor, mentors they become. So that's one. But also I think if you start, like with anything, I think if you start developing a passion around certain aspects of what you're doing, you're going to be attracted to that kind of stuff on your feeds. You're going to be attracted to it on Instagrams, on Facebook, or whatever it is, and TikToks nowadays. So I think it's more about being a little bit more sort of proactive in what you're doing. I think if you just allow things to drift, you're not really going to be kept in tune with those advanced techniques and new things coming through. I think you've got to put yourself out there, not in a obsessive way, not in a thing that kind of consumes your entire life, and that's what it becomes all about that. But even for me, when I'm passively going through Insta or Facebook or whatever, because of the pages I follow, I see something here and there. It takes 30 seconds for me to read it. It might not go in, but it might also go in, and I might not realize it's gone in. So I think that's how I personally do it. But there's so much out there. There's articles, there's papers, there's, as I said, courses as well, which is a big thing. So I think it's a combination of you as a person as well, kind of putting yourself out there, being proactive to see that kind of stuff and be exposed to it, but also making sure that you are keeping up to date with things, because dentistry from when I first started, and that was only 4 years ago, even to now, it's come a long way. And I can't imagine where it's going to be in another 20 years. So it's a continuously evolving sort of profession, especially with, you know, new sort of robotics and things like that coming out as well. And that doesn't just apply to what I do. It applies kind of most things now as well. You know, if you go to supermarkets, and I went to Japan last year, and the airport there is just like robots coming up to you.
Yeah, insane.
It's madness.
Insane.
It's absolutely crazy out there in Japan. But yeah, that's how I do it. You know, just to kind of keep my mind ticking. But I think it's just a passion as well. Comes with passion as well, and I not always had that, not at all. But I think the last couple of years certainly I've just developed a little bit more of that. So I kind of tailor my feeds to see certain things. Don't always read it. A lot of it is a lot of bullshit, but ultimately it's there if you need it. So I think depending on how you use your resources.
Yeah. Why is dental treatment so expensive?
It's a good question. I think we should say relative expense first of all. And I think it's one of those where we're within a system, and this might lead on to your next question as well. We're in a system whereby the NHS system whereby we have got limitations on what we can do for our patients. So for you, for example, you had Invisalign, you've had an implant. Hope you don't mind me sharing that, but you've had Invisalign, you've had an implant. No chance that's going to be done under the NHS. No chance whatsoever. And therefore, you have to pay privately for it, or you go abroad and go to Turkey and get it done. Yeah, so it comes down to that. And I think why it's expensive is, for me personally, and not to sound too defensive, I think a lot of the times we are underappreciated, not just by patients, public, lay people, also within our profession as well. I've come to appreciate a lot more in the last year or so. What we do is actually quite crazy, you know, working on such microscopic levels. First of all, you imagine drilling into a tooth. One slip, mate, you've drilled fucking 3 or 4 teeth and it's all gone. So you need to be on it all the time, have good manual dexterity, that's one. Communication, going back to what we said at the start, you know, having that rapport with the patient as well, making them feel welcome, all that kind of stuff. To do that repeatedly for 8-9 hours in a day, for about 20 to 30 patients, it's exhausting. At the end of the day, you get exhausted because you are always, like I said, you put the previous one to the back of your mind, let it go, and then you're up again. You're like, hi, how are you? All that kind of stuff. You need to start again, and it does become a bit fatigued. You do get fatigued with it. So that's one. But the actual work we do as well, dentistry is much a combination of science in terms of medically. You need to make sure the patients, you know, not got any medical issues and things like that. The artistry that goes behind it. So things like for you, cosmetic work, you need to make sure that artistically it looks great. Yeah. You can't do a shitty job with it. You need to make sure that things are looking as natural as possible in a very minimal way as well, not fake. As well as also being very sort of hands-on with things and just looking at the finer details as well. So I think all of those things in combination, as well as then going into your overhead expenses, for example, the lab costs that you use. So, you know, for things like implants, veneers, crowns, we don't make it ourselves. An external lab would make it for us, and they charge us for it as well. Other kind of fees as well, like our registration fees, our indemnity fees, all that kind of stuff kind of comes into it as well. So when you add all of those kind of things up, it has to be a certain kind of cost to the patient as well. My kind of answer to things like that, if I can say, is I think dental treatment, regular routine dental treatment can be avoided with good oral hygiene. You know, I mean, it's not in the nicest way possible, not always. It's not our fault that, you know, patients come in, they've got a big hole in their tooth. It's not our fault that their tooth needs coming out. It's, you know, it's one of those where I think if everyone holds themselves a little bit more kind of accountable for what they're doing, we minimize our need to do treatment on patients and therefore minimizing costs and expenses as well. Elective things like cosmetic work, that's separate, that's different. That's to make yourself feel and look a lot better. It's not, by the way, it's not only limited to these kind of things. There's a hard kind of simplifying it as much as I can. There's a whole load of different facets to it. But I think, why is it expensive? I think it can be expensive. I mean, if you look at our counterparts in the USA, treatment over there is just crazy expensive. My auntie came last year and she was told over out there that she needs a root canal. She's being charged $2,500 for it. Yeah, I had a look, one X-ray, had a look at it. It's a tooth that's unsavable. We literally physically cannot save this tooth. So for them to say that it's $2,500 to save it with a root canal, for something that is literally, I promise you, would not last beyond 3 months, is wild. It's crazy. So I think when you look at compare it to other kind of countries, I think we're blessed in the sense that we have a system at the NHS where it kind of provides access to patients who can't maybe afford the more expensive kind of treatments and kind of just have the bare basics done, like fillings, root canals, whatever. We've got that system. But we've also got a private system as well, whereby we can do more advanced work to a better quality, I'd say, as well as cosmetic work as well. So it's a tough one to answer, because I think everyone's sort of relative, what's expensive to someone might not be the same amount of expensive to another person.
Would you say it comes down to some dentists as well, depending 100%. On the work they do?
100%, yeah. Yeah, if you go to the best, you expect to pay more.
Yeah, of course.
It's one of those things that sometimes I say to my patients as well, and it's I don't say it in a rude way or to kind of be dismissive, but pay peanuts, get monkeys. You know,
yeah, of course.
If you're gonna
makes so much sense.
It does, isn't it? If you're not gonna invest as heavily into it, then don't expect the Rolls Royce of treatment. Yeah. You know, it's one of those. It is expensive, but you're kind of looking at what you're getting for that value, what value you're getting for that, basically. So that's how I see it more. Patients often say to me, wow, it's so expensive. It is. I'd say to them, it is expensive. Someone told me, cough up this much now, I'd be saying, shit, okay, fine, I need to figure out how I'm going to do it. But then I kind of try to explain to them why it's expensive, why that cost is. We're not just plucked a number out of the air. It involves this, this, and this to get you the best result I could possibly provide for you.
I think that's important for clients to 100%. Hear as well.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. Rather than before, back in the day, they'd say to me, you know, it's expensive. I'd be like, yeah, and that's it. I wouldn't kind of know what else to say or why. But then I kind of started thinking, it is expensive. My kind of responsibility to them would be to explain to them why it's expensive, not to make them feel like I have just plucked a number out of thin air and just put it down on a piece of paper for them. And you kind of explain to them what goes behind doing it. I think it's important, because then they start realizing, okay, the value in what I'm paying for is this end product, and this is what I'm going to get for it ultimately at the end. So quite rightly, I think it depends on who you're going to as well.
Last question, bro. Mm-hmm. Your opinion on the NHS dentists and the direction that they're going, or the directions they're taking?
Yeah, this is again another kind of largely debated kind of topic that's been going on even in the news as well recently. And I think a lot of NHS dentists are leaving the NHS. I think the main reason is just because for about 15 to 20 years, and someone might need to look up the exact year, we've been under a kind of NHS contract by the government, which doesn't really help us in maximising how good we can do treatment for patients. So by that, what I mean is under that service, under that system, it's very difficult for us to do most advanced work with patients. So that therefore, a lot of dentists, for me personally, I've started to leave the NHS. I've recently cut down my NHS contract, so I'm doing very, very little amount. But the reason for me doing so is because I wanted to provide the absolute top-notch, gold standard, best care for my patients. I don't want to just be good. I want to be delivering clinical excellence, and I think that's what everyone should strive to do in whatever they do. So I think for most of our colleagues, it's a case of leaving the NHS just because the system doesn't allow them to do that. It's not made for that, essentially. The remuneration, to be politically correct as well, the remuneration that we're getting under that system isn't great, and certainly not great for somebody who wants to do good quality work under the NHS as well. So I think it's a bit of both. It is ultimately, and this is just to be absolutely transparent and real, it's about trying to be good, trying to do the best quality work, but also about being rewarded for it as well. And that again is not. It's a thing that people say. You asked that question earlier. What irritates you? The way we're perceived as dentists to be just after patients' money, and I think that really pisses me off because it's not about that whatsoever. I'm a big believer of respect the profession will respect you back. But what I mean by that is, if I'm doing the best quality work for a patient, I'm not thinking about, oh, how much am I going to get for it, or nothing like that whatsoever. I'm thinking, how can I do the best I can possibly do for you?
Yeah.
And, you know, likewise. So I think coupling all of that together, going back to that last question, I think the NHS system it's an outdated system for one.
Yeah.
It's something that hasn't really been changing over the last 15, 20 years. They try to change it each time, but it really doesn't add a lot of value or add many changes for us either. Therefore, we're going to get pissed off. We're going to be like, okay, fine. If you're not helping us, we'll go and help ourselves then. We'll go and do our good quality care somewhere else. And I think the newer generation of dentists coming through, I think they're a lot more sort of, with social media helping as well, you see so many more, you know, dental pages and things like my own, so many dental pages where we're promoting our work and we're kind of, you know, explaining what we're doing, why we're doing it. So as a uni student coming through now, it's one of those, you're at uni now and you're seeing this on Instagram, you're like, wow, I want to be like that, I want to do this kind of work here and there. No chance you're going to do composite bonding or implants or Invisalign on the NHS. So I think the newer crop of dentists coming through, I think they are kind of heading towards, okay, I want to be private at some point because I want to do this sort of work. So I think generational changes as well is definitely going towards that too.
Sick, bro. Well, thank you for coming on, man.
No, hope that was useful.
I've learned a lot from it.
Yeah,
I'm not
good.
gonna lie. I've just been there, just listening. Like, wow.
For everyone who's watching, where can we catch you on Instagram, bro?
So Instagram, just follow my page. It's dr.dr.dilan, D-I-L-A-N. I'm at 2 clinics currently, one in Fleckney, where cows come as well before. It's kind of near Market Harbour, and also one on Narber Road as well. So yeah, give me a follow and reach out if you have any issues.
It's been amazing, bro.
Pleasure, guys. Thanks for listening. Thanks for having me as well. Cheers, bro.
Guys, just want to say a big thank you for everyone supporting us at the moment, liking, commenting, sharing. Literally, it's been an amazing journey so far.
It has. It has. We need your help.
Yeah.
That little button, what says subscribe, we're going to need you to subscribe. Please.
Just give us some support. Literally.
Please.
The more people who view it, the more content that's going to be out. So you do not
Just click
want
the
to miss
button.
out.
Just click the button.
Yeah, just click it. Just click it.
Little tap. That's all you need to do. Just little
That's it.
click.
You get me?